Welcome back to the Truth Factory. Jeffrey Epstein, disgraced financer and pedophile pimp for the world's rich and famous, has allegedly committed suicide. And the only one surprised about this suicide is Jeffrey Epstein himself. And while the mainstream news is calling this a suicide, everyone else is like,
it's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened. It never happened. This one was invented by a writer.
I'm surprised the New York Times hasn't said that he yelled, "This is mega country," before totally hanging himself. A murder conspiracy is something both sides of the political aisle can actually agree on, and even blue-pilled lefties are calling this out as a murder conspiracy. Joe Scarborough even tweeted about this, blaming the Russians? While he is a pro at blaming people's deaths on other causes, like when he murdered his intern. Anyway, 3 weeks ago, Jeffrey Epstein was found semi-conscious on the floor of his jail cell with marks around his neck. And officials were investigating if this incident was a possible suicide attempt or an assault. I believe the latter, since Jeffrey Epstein allegedly told guards that someone tried to kill him. Epstein's cellmate at the time of the possible assault was a retired police officer accused of killing 4 people and burying them in his backyard. A source who had seen Epstein in recent weeks said there's no indication that he might try to take his own life. Regardless, Epstein was placed on suicide watch, but then was just, for some reason, taken off of it only a few days prior to his death with no clear explanation as to why. The Metropolitan Correctional Center where Epstein was held has strict security measures and often is referred to as the Guantanamo of New York. Inmates in the 10 South Wing, where Epstein was being held, are locked inside single-man cells with lights and CCTVs on at all times. According to Michael Condrey, who was investigating outside MCC after Epstein's death, there was an alleged CCTV malfunction where Jeffrey Epstein was locked up. What a coincidence! I mean, this is yet to be confirmed, but if it's not true, then present the video. At this facility, 2 guards are required to make separate checks on all prisoners every 30 minutes, or every 15 minutes if the prisoner is on suicide watch. But for some strange reason, that procedure was not followed this night. According to multiple Twitter accounts, 2 prison guards were told to leave the area earlier for scheduled maintenance, and apparently those guards did not come back to check on Epstein until 7:30 in the morning, in which case he was already dead.
The 66-year-old was supposed to be checked on by guards every 30 minutes since he was taken off suicide watch late July, and that did not happen on the night of his death. Epstein was also supposed to be housed with a cellmate and not left alone, but he was left alone. And we're also learning that both guards that were on duty that night were on overtime, one of them working his 5th overtime shift that week alone.
Either this was extreme negligence on the part of the prison, or this was intentional. And of course, all of this happened the day after 2,000 pages of explosive court documents were unsealed, naming powerful friends of Epstein, including the late MIT professor Marvin Minsky, New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, hedge funder Glenn Dubin, and late MIT scientist modeling company founder Jean-Luc Brunel, all of which had been serviced by Epstein's harem of underage victims. It's certainly getting harder for people to say that these are just conspiracy theories. Even Trump is retweeting hot takes about this and linking Epstein's death to the Clinton body count. And despite the mainstream media constantly trying to link Trump to Epstein, the unsealed documents reveal that Trump was never witnessed at Epstein's houses or island and has not been found in any way linked to Epstein's ring. In fact, Trump kicked him out of his Mar-a-Lago resort years ago. However, Trump was clearly aware of Bill Clinton's connection to Epstein as early as 2015, when he said this at CPAC.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Now, there's no way that a high-security prison with the stringent reputation of the MCC would allow a high-profile, high-risk inmate to be placed in a jail cell with a mass murderer and then take him off of suicide watch only days after finding him semi-conscious in his cell. Epstein was the key to exposing and taking down the wealthiest and most powerful people in the world, including multiple government officials, the Clintons, and even royalty. This is probably the biggest criminal case of our generation. There is no way that there would be no footage of the alleged suicide or reason for removal of the guards at this time unless the death of Jeffrey Epstein was absolutely planned and intentional. They protected Epstein here about as well as they protected Lee Harvey Oswald. And if you want to get really conspiratorial, perhaps Epstein paid off employees to fake his death so he could cruise out of there and live the rest of his life under a different identity. And maybe he paid for this with the jet that he sold in June, because why would you need the money if you're just going to kill yourself? I don't think that this scenario is the case, but it's still way more likely than him committing suicide. And here are some more things that are more likely than him committing suicide: winning the lottery, nailing Jell-O to a tree, kissing your own elbow, John McCain coming back to life, the tooth fairy being real, Nancy Pelosi saying anything coherent.
When that will happen, it has to happen soon. It has to happen soon so that we can have it done by the end of the
Either way, it certainly wouldn't be the first time correctional officers from MCC have done illegal work for cash bribes. But I'm happy to be proven wrong with video footage confirming a suicide. Otherwise, I believe that this was a hit, before he had to testify against the world's most powerful political figures. Attorney General William Barr has ordered both the FBI and Investigator General to open up investigations into Epstein's death, and rightfully so. But it's so unfortunate that these victims will never have their day in court to face this monster and to get closure, as justice for them and accountability for these pedophiles who abused them just died with Jeffrey Epstein. And call me a conspiracy theorist, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a big false flag soon to distract from this story, so we forget all about the pedophile elite's dirty crimes that might have been revealed if this had gone to trial. That will now go back into the dark with whatever happened to JFK and the Las Vegas shooter. And if you talk about this ever again, well, you're a domestic terrorist, apparently. Welcome to Clown World. The best thing that they could do at this point would be to go after Epstein's ex-lover, Ghislaine Maxwell, who was complicit in these crimes as well and may name names. Thank you to everyone for supporting me through PayPal and liking and subscribing and sharing these videos, as I'm hoping to start creating videos more frequently again. Thank you so much and have a great night. Pew!